Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Mephisto, and always with me, my hetero life mate. Oh, my feelings. Good evening to you, sir.
Evening, buddy.
What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is very simple, and I'm going to fuck it up again. What is the Reel McCoy, you ask? Very simple. We ask you to go watch a movie. You watch it, come back to us, and we break it down, we geek on it, and we tear it apart scene by scene. Well, not scene by scene. We just talk about it for about a couple of hours, and with a little bit of respite along the way, we just enjoy the movies. Today, we've got a classic. I said it numerous times on Twitter. Classic John Hughes film. Literally, it's the fourth film that comes up when you do John Hughes movies. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, in this kind of casual September, kind of close up casual September with kind of a mishmash of movies we wanted to put in like a long time ago. This movie didn't come up early on when we started the show, right? It came up
No.
when we kind of did the schedule for this month, right?
It came up like we were just spitballing, just talking about random movies that we wanted to review, and I mentioned I would like to review Ferris Bueller's Day Off at one point in time because I think it's a great film. I think it's Hughes' best film, and I think it's his most innocent portrayal of teenage angst. And it's also a giant love letter to Chicago.
Oh yeah, that's I was wanted to say, because
huge love letter to Chicago.
Did I not write you a very long kind of it wasn't a rant, it was actually good positive feelings about that, and
yeah,
the thing I said in that long little thing I wrote to you was like, I understand why you love this movie so much, because you're a Chicago boy at heart.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going to have such a great time talking about this. Caveat before I start with my spiel, and you're going to start with your spiel. I came into this movie not liking it. The last time I watched this movie is, I think, between 14 and 16 years old, when I had like a lot of movies coming in my way because reasons in my life, where one of those things is a series of John Hughes movies that I really didn't like. Watched for the first time 11, 12, came back to it 14, 16. Some of them I liked, some of them I didn't like. I'm talking about like 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Home Alone. What's on that list? I
What,
went
just
through it
the
this week.
original the
Uh,
original National
uh,
Lampoon's Vacation, and then
yeah,
also The Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club, Vacation, Christmas Vacation, all that stuff. It's like a mishmash of stuff where it's basically the same place, just outside of Chicago. So Aurora, Illinois, all that stuff.
Aurora is a real place, by the way.
Yes, I know. In Dogma, they mention it in Dogma where the prophets meet the last scion in Dogma, where they tell her, why are you here? It's like, we came to Shermer, Illinois because of John Hughes movies, because Silent Bob is a sap for John Hughes movies. And I was like, yes. All right, cool.
You get the Buddy Jesus for that one.
Yeah. It's not Jesus, it's Buddy Christ.
Buddy
Christ. Yeah. Right. All right. I'm Wayne. We'll do Dogma someday in the future. All right, cool. If you want to interact,
we'll review the Kevin Smith, like the films that we actually enjoy of Kevin Smith's.
Yes. Yeah. Probably. All right. If you want to interact with the show, follow me on Twitter at Mephisto.com. Holy shit. Not yet. Now, maybe in the future, at Mephisto on Twitter, at Mephisto79 on Instagram. Email the show at the Reel McCoy podcast at gmail.com. And do not disturb my fellow man or my feelings, because he is a busy fucking man. Trust me on this. Yes, we will do this. All right, cool. Let's just jump into the movie, right? We'll start with your show. It's called... with our first segment of the night. It's called Behind the Screens.
Production take 2.
Behind the Screens is where we turn to you and get the lowdown on everything on the production side, everything behind the scenes.
So to start off with, I think by far the most interesting note, just off the bat, is that Hughes wrote the script in less than 1 week.
Ooh.
He had to write it in less than 1 week because of an impending Writers Guild strike.
Oh, it was that time of year. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The film was shot using the actual first draft of the script. The original length of the first cut was 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Whoa. That's very long for this movie.
They had to cut over an hour and 5 minutes.
Because
a lot of it was superfluous, and a lot of it was just more of John Hughes establishing characters that really weren't that important. Especially like the Garth character, the younger siblings of the Buellers that you never see. You notice the fact that there was the child drawing on the refrigerator?
I did not notice that.
In the Bueller home? Not. Yeah. They had 2 younger siblings, Jeannie and Ferris.
Ferris is the guy.
Yes.
Oh, younger siblings, then Ginny and Ferris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mind reset. Yeah. Gotcha. Go.
Yeah. So they were cut. There was supposed to be, the entire scene at the French restaurant. That was supposed to be a very longer shot. It was about a 10-minute scene, 10 to 15-minute scene that got completely just cut down to about, I think it was 3.5, 4 minutes.
Yeah, and the most interesting part of it is the maitre d'.
Well, and then also the fact that he mentions, like, we ate pancreas. Yeah, they go through that whole spiel about they don't understand French, so when they order food, they were just ordering what was on whatever was on the menu.
Okay.
So, yeah. Many of the characters were based off of, which is an ongoing theme in all of Hughes's entire pretty much entire catalog based off of someone that he knew or someone that he knew.
Okay.
Ferris Bueller was based off a good friend of his in high school.
Okay.
Cameron was also based off of a good friend of his in high school.
Okay.
Ferris's friend was far worse than Ferris was. See, Ferris only had 9 days, and the reason why they use the word 9 is because the actor Jeffrey Jones, who by the way is a piece of shit, as we're going to get to later.
Jeffrey Jones is the headmaster, right?
He's the dean. Yeah, the dean vice principal character, yeah.
It's Edward Rooney, basically.
Yeah, he's Ed Rooney, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because the way the affectation that Jeffrey Jones had when he said 9, he's like, I like the way that sounds, so we're going to use 9 as Ferris's number of absentee days.
Is it because of the mustache?
No, it's just the way that it sounded when he said it.
Okay.
It sounded more like it had more punch to it when he said, like it had more.
The original days are what, 14?
27. There's a big gap there.
Yeah. Massive gap. Yeah.
So one person who I know definitely regrets that this movie was made without him in it was Anthony Michael Hall, because he turned down the role after being in other John Hughes projects such as Weird Science.
Weird Science. He wanted to be Cameron?
No, he was going to be Ferris.
No. Oh. It's so strange because it basically made Matthew Broderick, even though Matthew Broderick did not War Room, that movie.
War Games.
War Games. War Games. He did War Games, but it didn't become.
That also, he was a big star on Broadway and off Broadway too. And actually, that's another thing where the actor who plays Cameron, they actually knew each other from working off Broadway together, so they were already friends. So that's also
the dynamic would work well when it
because it's like, well, we didn't have to pretend we were friends, we were already friends. And also the actor who plays Cameron, he was 29.
Oh yeah, it literally when I rewatched it, I'm like, that guy. I mean, Matthew Broderick has a baby face, so he can, if he's like,
and so did the guy who played Cameron, and the girl who plays Sloane, she had just turned 18.
Yeah,
and Matthew Broderick, I think he was in his early 20s, I think, but doesn't matter. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
but I was gonna say,
he looks not 17.
Yes, yeah,
with the baby face.
I was gonna say the other actors that were actually offered the role of Ferris that either turned it down or went for it and didn't get it or considered were, first and foremost, Jim Carrey. Very, very baby Jim Carrey.
Okay.
This is before In Living Color. So this is like him starting out with doing a stand-up still. Like this is very beginning of his career. This is the Man of
1,000 Faces phase of Jim Carrey.
Yes. Rob Lowe.
It makes sense, but he looks very old.
John Cusack, which you could see John Cusack being swapped for Matthew Broderick pretty easily there.
I can see that.
Johnny Depp.
I can see that too. I can see
Tom
that too.
Cruise. I think Tom Cruise was getting too big for his britches there.
Top Gun was 87.
Yes, but I think he had already been established. Yeah,
he did Risky Business like 85, I think.
Yeah, which was just right before this came out. So yeah. But anyway, then after that also. Michael J. Fox. I could see Michael J. Fox being a very good.
But the problem with Michael J. Fox is this is 86, so it's a year after Back to the Future came out, and he had a lot of problems filming Back to the Future because he pulled double duty with the TV series.
Family Ties.
Family Ties. He had a lot of problems. He literally shot during the day and then went to do during the night. Did most of the Back to the Future. That's why it's mostly in the night.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So Hughes would not let Molly Ringwald play Sloane.
Why not?
Molly Ringwald wanted to play Sloane.
I would imagine so.
He said, this role is too small for you.
Ooh. I don't know. Sloane does a lot of really
I
important.
think Sloane does a little bit of carrying in certain scenes. So I'm like,
she's the tie that links Cameron and Ferris.
in certain scenes,
In
yeah,
certain
but they were,
scenes,
yeah.
she's a character you must have because all the weight of them not being discovered always falls on her.
Very much so, and also I think too, she is the real heart of the film outside of Cameron, obvious for obvious reasons that we're going to get into. But she's really the caring soul behind it, because I think without Sloane, you would think that Ferris is an asshole. And don't get me wrong,
Oh,
Ferris is kind of an asshole.
I still think he's an asshole, right? Okay.
So Alan Ruck, who played Cameron,
Yep.
auditioned to actually play Bender in The Breakfast Club.
Ooh, don't see him as Bender, but okay.
I don't either, which it makes sense. But he was actually given the role of Cameron after Emilio Estevez turned it down.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah.
I mean, I can. Back then, Emilio can play both the jock in Breakfast Club and the fool. I can see him in that role. Plus, he is shorter than Matthew Broderick, which works well.
Yeah.
Which would work well.
So Jeffrey Jones, as we described, is a piece of shit. He plays Ed Rooney. If you want to learn about his terrible, terrible things that he did, go look it up. I don't even want to give it credence.
I don't even want to know, and I don't want to know.
It's very awful. He's not a good person.
In most of the things he's being cast on, he's the bad dude. Have you seen Howard the Duck?
Well, actually, oddly enough, he was hired because of his role in Amadeus.
Really?
And he was an asshole in Amadeus.
Yeah, he was the emperor. Yeah.
Yes. But what's funny about that is, though, he actually went and visited Hughes's old vice principal at his old high school to get down his mannerisms to play Ed Rooney.
Okay. Oh, I can see it happening.
Got to give him credit for at least doing his research. And also, that high school has been in almost every John Hughes film.
Is that the same high school every single time?
Almost.
Okay.
There's a slight divergence in a couple of films, but for the most part, actually shooting inside interior shots, it was the same high school. There are most of the outside expanding shots too are the same high school, except I think there's one in
16 Candles. So 16 Candles and Pretty in Pink and Breakfast Club
and Ferris Bueller's.
And Ferris Bueller. That's 4. What else? So Home Alone, no. What else? Yeah, so just these 4. It's mostly the same school. Okay.
It's mostly the same school, yeah.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of cool, but it's also the one that John Hughes went to. Oh, big surprise.
Big surprise.
The Fry home, Cameron's family home,
is
actually an architectural kind of, it's a landmark. It's the it is the Ben Rose home.
Any significance?
Well, it was just considered one of the brilliant, the most. Well, it was considered at the time the quintessential modern art deco.
Oh, okay,
home,
okay.
The architectural style, and also Ben Rose, the very famous photographer, owned it for many years.
Okay.
Anyway, so David Haid, who did a lot of set work and design work on multiple things, said, so what we're going to do is they actually painstakingly took all the original glass out of
And replaced it with what? With like fake
with fake
sugar
glass. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Just in case.
because the original glass had the classic patina to it and the aging. And they're like, no,
Okay.
because this is still considered almost like a landmark, so we can't damage it. So they actually had to take the panes of glass out and replace them. And David Hayes said, if I can do this, you owe me $25,000. They did it. John Hughes paid him $25,000.
Wow. Holy shit. Okay.
The Art Institute of Chicago was oftenly frequented by Hughes, so much so that he requested that things be shot in it. And this was actually the first time that a film production crew had ever been inside the Art Institute of Chicago, ever.
Really?
To film, yeah.
I was gonna ask you if you've been there, and
Yeah.
the answer is of course.
Yes.
But I was gonna ask, is it like a set or a real thing? Because I thought, well, maybe they just did like shots of real art in its place, and then they did the scene where they're holding hands. Maybe
With the kids.
that's where they did it like offset
No.
or some sort of mock-up, because they don't really let you shoot in museums at all.
Oh, it was very heavily monitored. Like it was the entire big zoom in shot on the Sara painting, which we're gonna get to, is very, very poignant part of the whole movie. That was the real painting.
Cool.
And they say that with American Glass, that the sculpture that that Ferris and Sloane are making out in front of, that's the real piece.
That's cool. That's cool, because I know for a fact, especially back then, they did not want anybody in any museum whatsoever, because it's not what you see. It's the behind the scenes with the crew and the catering and the thing and the that and the this, where it's just no.
Yeah. So you know why? Cameron's wearing that one hockey jersey throughout the film, right? That's Gordie Howe's jersey. That was John Hughes' childhood hero. He had contacted Gordie Howe. That's one of his actual jerseys. Gordie Howe sent it to them.
I was going to ask you, because I know zero to none hockey. Now, being in Chicago, you know two things: Bulls and whatever hockey team plays.
In Chicago, you're either on one side of one fence. You're either on this side or this side. You're either a Cubs fan or you're a White Sox.
Cubs or White Sox.
Then you're a Bears fan. You're a Bulls fan, and you're a Blackhawks fan. That's it.
That's it. The Blackhawks. And I was like, I know very little about NHL. I know two names. I know Wayne Gretzky, and I know Gordie Howe. And I know one other name is Mario Lemieux. Mm-hmm. So three names. Mario Lemieux is Pittsburgh Penguins, if I'm not mistaken.
I do believe so, yeah.
That's it. So I know, and I saw it's like how it's Gordie Howe, right? It's probably I'm gonna ask all my feelings. He's know nothing about sports, but he knows that.
But what's really funny about that, though, is the reason why Cameron wears that jersey is because his father is a Blackhawks fan.
Oh, okay.
The Red Wings and the Blackhawks, that is a huge fucking rivalry. Okay. So he's constantly just subvertively like spitting in his dad's face by wearing his Gordie Howe jersey.
Okay, I get it. Funny. It's like wearing a Lakers shirt in Boston in 85.
Oh yeah, definitely. 100%.
Or in 2005.
Yeah. But anyway, so other side notes, Jennifer Grey and Broderick were engaged immediately after production wrapped.
And then she chopped off her nose and then they disengaged.
Yeah. Well, there was also that whole thing where he murdered people. The car accident.
No.
Look that up. It's a very, very sad story.
Okay.
It's a very sad story.
Maybe we covered that when we covered the producers.
Yes. Hughes modeled Ferris's room after his own childhood bedroom.
Oh, okay.
And if you've
So-
noticed, they actually have Inside Minds poster, Don't You Forget About Me, is prominently displayed.
I have not noticed that. No, I have
on
not.
Ferris's bedroom wall. Yeah.
I have not noticed that. No.
The actors that portrayed Ferris's parents were married after production and were married until 1993. Yeah.
I have that queued up for some reason.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had no idea. All right.
Bill Paxton was actually offered the role of one of the garage attendees, turned it down, and said he always regretted it because John Hughes wouldn't cast him in anything after he turned down the role.
Why? I mean, he probably turned it down for Aliens. That was 86, right?
I think it was 87
I
or 88.
I have no
but
idea.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Is
The
there
last
something
little
else?
bit is okay. Got to talk about the Ferrari GT250. 'cause,
Yes,
oh
please.
my God, that car was a huge bit of controversy. So
Okay.
just so you know, they actually only had a shot, a full like establishing shot of the original car was used in one scene in the film. All the rest were replicas.
Replicas, I would imagine
Yes.
so.
And all of the cast and crew hated using the replicas. Do you know why?
It's probably like a Ford Chevy in there or something.
No, well, it was actually
Either a Ford or a Chevy. Whatever.
Yes, it was a Ford V8. As opposed to V12. Anyway,
Don't go there.
Getting into car stuff, not gonna get into that because
Don't go
you're
there.
like, I don't want to know this.
As a lover of
either-
the old Top Gear, do not go there, please.
Yes. Anyway, the cars wouldn't start, or they would stall out during production all the time.
Okay.
But what's so funny is the surviving replicas have been sold. The most recent one was sold for $396,000 in 2020. The replica,
and
by
it's
the
a
way.
piece of shit.
Yes. But the actual Ferrari GT250, there actually only were 100 of them made, was sold at auction last in 2015 for a $16.8 million. Due to inflation, it's $21.4 million.
But does it have 187 miles on it or 301 miles on it?
And the last bit too, the vanity plates throughout this, if you look at every one of the cars that one of the characters that are integral to the movie drive, all have just funny things that are inside jokes.
I really haven't.
So the Ferrari has an entire the vanity license plate is NRVOUS.
NRVOUS. Nervous. Yeah, to mirror Cameron, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. His always his apprehension, his entire character. Then the other ones have their actual callbacks to the other films that John Hughes did. One is VCTN for Vacation. One is TBC, The Breakfast
Club.
One is MMOM.
MMOM.
You're not so bad. You'll never get this one because it's such a deep cut. Mr. Mom.
Oh my God, with Michael Keaton.
Yep. And the last one was for Ferris Bueller was 4FBOO.
For Ferris Bueller Day Off?
Yeah, for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yeah. Sorry, it was 4FBDO. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow, we spent a half an hour on that. Holy shit, that's a lot.
Oh, there's more.
Well,
But the rest of it's actually in the review, so we can keep going.
Oh, okay.
We can actually start the review now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to time jump a lot because Okay, so it starts off with Ferris feigning sickness to get a day off because he has a test that day. He said it at the beginning, but then that test kind of evaporates because the Rooney, the headmaster, doesn't actually mention that he has a test.
No, it was supposed to be his impetus of why he wants to go to school, but no, I have to go to school. I have a test today. It's so important.
But the one thing after the whole conversation, there's Jeannie, his sister, Jennifer Grey, coming in, being annoyed that he's getting a day off. His parents are really, worried about him. He also mentions it later how to get away with being sick and not have a fever. You don't want to have a fever to avoid actually going to the doctor.
You go to the doctor, which is worse than being at school.
Exactly. And he said, well, cold, clammy hands is better because, And when he gets up after the entire first scene where you have a little bit of credits, he gets up and you get the this is a real deep cut for us 80s boys and girls.
Oh yes, the cut to the actual old school
MTV
intro.
God.
Yeah,
it brought me back, man.
The one line that he said after he licks his palms, which again, this I have to give John Hughes credit because I think this is probably his most quote-worthy film.
Okay.
Because the one, I know it's pretty childish and stupid, but so is High School.
Which shows you a lot about what he thought about high school.
Yeah. So, and then his move to the bathroom where he says the famous line for the first time. He repeats it at the very end of the film too. But life moves very fast. If you don't stop and look around, you'll miss it. Yeah.
Exactly.
What's funny is in the shower scene, he was actually supposed to be singing Donkashane.
No,
which is a call later. Call back to which is called to the parade later, but no, they actually saved that for later. So I know way too much about this movie, man. I really do.
You keep saying that on almost every single movie we do. I was like, I know too much about this movie, god damn it. So he does have you start to see his elaborate plan of when guy calls, when that guy calls.
Like the machinations had been in work for ages for him to pull this off. Especially like it even got Sloane involved. How she set up the recorded message on the family's answering machine.
Yeah.
It's like she was already keyed into this. Yes. A long time ago.
And that's the thing I like about the writing on this is John had to have thought of that when he was like, how am I going to skip school and make everything fit? So the doorbell with the sounds, when the kids are talking to Ferris on the phone and he has the vomiting sounds on the keyboard.
Which, side note, that scene, Broderick completely improvised that.
Nice. Really?
Also, quick caveat too. Ferris was upset that he got a computer instead of a car, right?
Yes.
But also, that synthesizer that he had sitting there?
Yeah.
That was an $8,000 synthesizer at the time.
Not only that. No. The sampling machine that he had on the deck was about $12,000 at the time. So his entire system was about between $20,000 and $30,000 at the time.
And he's upset that he didn't get a car. It's like,
and he's upset he didn't get a car. And what's weird about that stuff is everything he has in this room, if you have it today, it would be worth even more than $30,000 because people are actually looking for those analog sound systems and the analog sampling system, which gives you a better not a better sound, but a different sound that you cannot replicate.
Very
you
much
being
so.
a musician, know this. By the way, you didn't tell me something. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is this in
Yeah, well, no, we haven't got to the scene yet.
we're there.
No, it's right. Yeah, I know Christy Swanson. It's like that's
Christy
Christy fucking
Swanson.
Swanson.
Tell me you forgot about this. Tell me you forgot it's Christy Swanson.
No.
Fuck you. You lie. You lie. So a part of his
Well, I was gonna say
his
before that too, just on the walk back from the shower, just real quick.
Yeah.
Ferris mentions John Lennon and the Beatles.
Yes.
This is important because throughout the entire production, one album that John Hughes kept listening to over and over and over and over and over again was
Sgt. Pepper?
White Album.
No. The White Album. Okay. It's for those people who grew up like in the 60s, it's either the White Album or Sgt.
Pepper's, yeah.
It without fucking fail. By the way, what's his face? Steve Jobs, for him, it was also the White Album.
Yep.
So Bueller.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I remember why I hate this movie. Continue, please.
And later, Ben Stein actually performed me that at the economics kind of just lecture that he was giving.
Yeah,
was actually one that he used to teach. So
really,
yeah,
I'm not surprised. By the way, that's like microeconomics 101, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna hit this because I'm again moving a little bit farther away. The one thing about this, which is a part of the starting scene, is the fact that we have a fourth wall breaker. This is 86. Please tell me this is one of the earlier movies where you had a character breaking the fourth wall. Not the first one. One of the earlier ones. And I think it's one of the
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's one of the earlier ones. Definitely not the first, but definitely one of the ones that's more pervasive throughout the entire narrative because he does it on multiple occasions. There were subtle winks and nods where a character might break the fourth wall once at a certain point in time in a film, but speaking directly to the audience, that's typically more reserved for, parodies or spoof films at the time.
Correct. Now, I'm going to bring you all the way to the end of the movie. Why I mentioned the fourth wall break is we had a post-credit scene, which you don't normally see from an 80s movie. And I'm mentioning it now.
There's actually two post-credit scenes, but this is the last one, yeah.
Which is the first? This is the last one. Which is the first one where
Rooney
goes?
Yeah, on the bus.
I don't actually count that as a post-credit scene because it runs concurrently with the credits.
That's fair. All I was gonna say is that poor girl that was sitting on the bus. Just real quick, so we can knock this out right now before we don't have to go back.
Who is she?
She was an unknown actress.
Okay.
But the thing is, the glasses that they had to put on her were so heavy, and they were so thick, they made her nauseous to wear them.
Oh my!
And they were so heavy, she had to strain her neck to keep her neck up.
That's why she has that.
That look where she's like,
like that. Okay. Remember this scene, if you didn't know, was mirrored in the first Deadpool movie where he finishes the movie. And
so it was like, go home,
get away. And I was like, I remembered watching that. I didn't know where it came from. Yeah. And I knew I've seen that scene and I knew he was spoofing something. This is the scene. This is fucking quintessential Ferris Bueller. But yeah. Let me jump.
So we have to go back to the first conversations with Cameron and about basically his constant neuroses. Whenever you see, just side note, whenever you see a hand move down and hit the speakerphone button, that's John Hughes' hand. John Hughes shot all of those little side scenes of the hand hitting the speakerphone
by himself.
By himself after production wrapped because no one else could get it right.
Nah.
That's true. That's a true story.
Where am I going? Well, let's go with Rooney. We talked about the computer. And he got a computer instead of a car. And this is where you see him literally hacking into the mainframe of the school, dropping those 9 days into like 2, while Rooney is talking to Ferris's mom. And she's like super busy. It's like, no, my kid does not do that. There's no way it's 9 days. And as he said, no, it's 9. And it literally, he drops it and he yells at the fucking secretary. Again,
by the way, her name is I've got it.
I love that actress,
Edie McClurg, who, by the way, has so many good improv scenes coming up. It's so good. Like,
bless that woman. She
went
tons of stuff.
Well, that in this film, she went above and beyond for this role.
Yeah, she really did. She is the ultimate counterbalance to this guy, where Rooney is oblivious. He's very like a tyrant, but he's very oblivious. And she has the lowdown on the entire school. And when she sits with him just a little bit after this, I might just pull it up for a second.
Ferris, because everybody loves Ferris. The geeks, the spazzes, the goths, the metalheads, the sluts.
Yeah, I was like, the sluts? Like, yeah. The thing is, she breaks down the, I don't know, caste system of the entire high school.
The cliques, yeah.
All the cliques. We talked about it in like various episodes. I think Drex brought it up like a long time ago, where you had those castes of people where he told us he was the outside of those castes, where he could talk to anybody. Like he talked to anybody. He could do the jocks. He could do the, like, even the stoners, right? It's a thing where I don't know how much it is prevalent today in schools. It definitely wasn't at the time for us.
Oh, it was when I was in high school.
When I was in high school, there was no jocks and geeks. There were the smokers. And it was a variety of people. It was really
the thing too is I think it was different in the 80s.
In the States, yeah, for sure.
You could say it was acceptable at the time.
What, smokers?
No. The caste thing.
Oh,
it was acceptable in the 80s. Yeah, like when I was in high school, it still existed, but there wasn't that vehement animosity that you see depicted in media.
Yeah. Let's not get into media, but yeah,
I would say that there was subtle mockery, of course, but it wasn't like I'm gonna beat you up after school because you're not like me.
Yeah,
but no, that's not how that works at all. But side note, her hairdo, she went to several different stylists to try to get this hairdo correctly, because she wanted to see how many pencils she could fit in her hair.
Oh, I love that.
Pencils out of her hair.
She was by the way, have you seen the show Small Wonders?
Small Wonder. Yeah, oh yeah.
She was the nosy. She was the nosy neighbor, and her child was the nosy girl, and they both spoke in the same tone. By the way, same tone she's using in this movie, and I was like, immediately transported to being like 7 years old.
By the way, Edie McClurg, she's not originally from Chicago, but she puts on her best Chicagoan accent when she calls Ferris. She was like, he's a really righteous dude.
I was going to ask if they do like a convincing Chicago accent, but
pretty much, but also
all over the place.
Like it's really hit or miss, especially like even if you go to Chicago, whether or not who has one or not, because the Midwest, when you get to a certain point, it's all watered down to where you don't really have an accent anymore.
Yeah, I would imagine so. One of the things before we go to our first segment of the night, I want to talk about the conversation that Rooney has later, where Cameron has already been convinced to join Ferris. and they do the trick where they want to get Sloane out. I kind of skipped over the nurse coming in to get Sloane, where I thought, well, if she's getting Sloane and telling her about her grandmother, isn't she like releasing her? But I guess not. They have a scene where he's talking, he thinks it's Ferris,
Yeah.
but then Ferris calls him on a different phone. And that kind of establishes what they did in the restaurant later.
Yeah.
Right? It kind of
Well, and
establishes
also,
the fact that
also Edie McClurg again. Does the best bit where she goes like, "Yeah, makes you look like an ass."
yeah,
Calling
where
Rooney out.
she literally calling it out to his
And
face.
there was at the beginning too, right before this was the conversation that Ferris had with the freshman setting up the save Ferris bit that gets increasingly larger throughout the film, where the water tower has it painted on it. Wrigley Field has it outside.
I can't really
of it.
pinpoint the
Oh,
same,
and
but
one last little side note.
This is literally the start where her, like Jeannie's girlfriend is like, yeah, I heard Ferris is like half dead or whatever. He's like, apart from saying, I think he's got AIDS or cancer or something. I was like, whoa, it went.
This was the 80s.
It went a little bit too far. Yeah.
Yeah. But then they have the other bit where Ferris, just real quick, where he picks up the clarinet and says like, never had a lesson before. That was because Matthew Broderick on set went like, yeah, I can play the clarinet.
Yeah,
never played it before.
So I thought he did it on purpose to do like a bad clarinet, while I thought Matthew actually knows how to do it and he did it badly on purpose. But when you say that, it's like, okay, it fits. It fits.
Nope.
It fits.
And there's just that one little bit too before where they have the bit where Cameron actually is debating, because Ferris mentions like, he's sitting in his car by himself debating on whether or not he's going to come over. It's like, he's going to guilt trip you. He's going to guilt trip you into doing it. He's going to make you feel bad. Just go.
Yeah, and
the other line too, where he says, "If you don't come over here and help me with this, you won't be my friend again." And Cameron says, "You've been threatening me with that since I was in the 5th grade."
Yeah, but it works. It works. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Before we continue, we have a little stop and do our first segment of the night. It is called Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee for the uninitiated, as we take 10 posters, have their text written off, we display them, and you owe my feelings because we have a crowd of one tonight. It's one of those nights, I guess.
Yeah, that's all right.
You will answer them and try and break your own record. Okay? These are 10 posters. Go.
I got to pay attention now.
Pay attention.
Stand by me.
Stand by me.
Kick ass.
Kick ass.
Lethal Weapon. 3.
Lethal Weapon 3.
Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
Is it The Bride?
No. It's our favorite movie of all time to get rid of.
Nope. I don't know it.
Oh, are you serious?
Mm-mm. I can't think of it.
Oh, she gets naked in it too.
I can't remember it.
Melancholia.
That Indiana Jones and that's The Last Crusade. No. That's
It's only 3.
Yeah, I know. It's not Temple of Doom. I just lost it. Ark of the Covenant. Duh.
Yes, and it is of the Lost Ark.
Lost Ark. Yeah, wow. Indiana
Jones
and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Wow.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'm having an off night tonight. Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs.
Rocky.
Which one?
Is that 2?
No.
3?
No.
4?
There's 7. You can go on. No.
That's not one of the new Rockies.
That is number
5?
5.
Oh, the one with the terrible butler robot.
With the hat. Yeah, the hat gives it away.
God, that movie's awful.
Yeah.
Taxi Driver.
Last one.
Oh, God.
Jeremy Renner is in it. Was
Yeah, I
directed
know.
by a woman. She got the first ever Best Director.
No,
for
that
a
was
woman.
actually James Cameron's ex-wife, too.
Yes.
Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker. Correct, sir.
So Melancholia, and for some odd reason, Raiders of the Lost Ark just like...
Hey, it is what it is.
I'm blaming it on the dentist. See, I got drugged up this morning. It's not my fault.
Blame it on the weatherman.
Hey, to be fair, that was still one of the better showings overall.
Yes, correct. But you have.
I was going. I had a good clip there going.
I was like, he's gonna break it. He's gonna break it.
Damn it!
Busted
Melancholia.
by
I always fucking forget that movie because it's not that good either. I think that's the reason why I always forget.
Coming up, it's a depressing fucking movie. I watched it once and I remember it because she was naked in it. That's it. It was really.
I think the reason why I wasn't so impressed with her being naked, that's why I'm just like.
Because the movie gave me melancholia.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Here we go. We see the ultimate Ferris in this scene. Like I've chose this picture, but the scene is at Cameron's dad's garage, and he's showing him the car, and he's saying, well, we're not going to take this one. And everybody who watches the movie, including first timers, I was like, yeah, they're taking this car.
He's taking the car.
It's like he's taking this car. Why? Because they've established the fact that Ferris can bend Cameron to his absolute will.
Yeah.
Right? So they take the car, and they have that elaborate ruse of taking Sloane away from school.
I said the only thing that's important about that's in the interim there is when Ed Rooney is calling the mortuary after he calls Sloane's parents' house. He says one line in there that's John Hughes made him improvise. He said, just say something ridiculously stupid. He says, my cheese is in the wind. I mean, it is something ridiculously stupid, so he nailed it.
Yeah. The thing is, Ferris picks up Sloane. He's dressed as Sloane's dad, where they've established that Sloane's dad is coming to pick her up because the grandma's dead.
I guess that's my dad then. And then Sloane's whole thing to Ed Rooney, where she seems like she's genuinely sympathetic, saying like, I really appreciate your compassion in my time. Like, you're a good man. You're a good man.
Yeah. And she
like,
goes out and
they start making out, and then Ed Rooney's like, oh, so it's that kind of family.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, what? She's 16.
I think she's 17 technically.
No, Ferris is 17 and he's a senior. And she is one class. She's 1 year behind him because they're talking about he's going to college and she's now.
Well, no, he could be the same age because they could be the same age. Like the way that the way birth months would rotate, they would be the same age, but they would be only a certain month
they've
apart,
established the fact that when they have that talk after Cameron has that meltdown.
Oh, I know. They said that she's got one more year in high school.
She's got one more year to
be
go.
17 already because it's already at the end of the year of
17 and 16. Okay, her dad, which is above 40, and 16 having a French kiss.
Yes, I know. Yeah. It's that. Well, and especially after what we know about Mr. Jeffrey.
That's not that kind of a family. That's the I'm going to call child services kind of a family.
Which, by the way, I highly recommend you look up about Mr. Jones, the actor who plays Jeffrey
really
Rooney.
Don't want to.
Then you'd be like, oh, okay. Him saying that line, it's like the pot will call the kettle black.
So they take the car, and we have, and what I mentioned it before, and I mentioned it in that personal conversation, a homage to Chicago.
Just the start of it.
Literally, until they go back home, a lot of love for the city of Chicago. We'll call it glorifying a little bit, because there are even back then a little bit darker parts of Chicago, but this is the love of John Hughes for the city of Chicago,
which I always found kind of interesting, because no one ever mentions, well, in his original works they did, Woody Allen, about how every single film except for Midnight in Paris takes place in New York, and they're all constant love letters to New York, but they never mention the fact that he's writing specifically to almost make New York a character in itself. But when John Hughes did it was
I've heard that in his lot.
Early works, but later on it just became kind of just the typical thing that Woody Allen did.
The thing is, later, we're not going to discuss Woody Allen because he retired, because let's face it, he's another piece of shit. But before he became a real piece of shit, like all the early stuff, not the early stuff when he matured a little bit, but he was still like 30s, 40s, 50s Woody Allen. A lot of it is around New York for a very good reason, putting New York as not only your set, but also your mood, or your, like you said, a third or a fifth wheel character.
Like an ancillary character.
Yeah. That doesn't say anything, but it's a constant thing. Here in John, let's transfer it to this movie, where it just put it in isolation. A lot of love for the city of Chicago. A lot.
Very much so.
It's very palpable. Again, rewatching this, doing more critical watching, I love the fact that he's true to what he is writing. So it comes off from what he wrote from the script into what you see painted as a story on screen. I love it.
Which also, side note, just you mentioned Woody Allen in New York. All I can think of is these pretzels are making me thirsty.
These pretzels are making me thirsty. Yes, which has nothing to do with Woody Allen. Holy shit!
He's supposed to be an extra in a Woody Allen film.
I know. I know.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Right. So the guys are putting this in a storage garage or a parking garage, I would say.
Which, again, the main garage attendant, as we spoke before, was originally supposed to go to Bill Paxton, but he turned it down.
Yeah, well, it's not that big of a role. It is crucial, but not that big of a role, actually. The guy looks Mexican. Or Latino.
No, he is a very, very famous bit part actor that has been in countless films.
Yeah, for sure. I've recognized him immediately. It's like, oh, that guy was in this movie? I remember a different guy. It's like, it fits. He kind of is presenting to be someone who's barely speaking English, but he's like fluent. He has no accent, nothing, right? It's like,
I think it's more the fact that he has kind of that perceived, just the way he always kind of looks a little bit like disheveled.
It's the nose, dude. He has
I think it's the nose, and the facial hair is a little. The nose and his face is a little bit scruffy. His hair is always a little bit scruffy, and his clothing is always a little bit offset. So he could play that kind of the character that's a broken down kind of character, or someone who is like, who would work at a parking garage, just that perceived person that would work at a parking garage that would do something scummy like that, what he does.
Yeah, but what we as an audience are like, maybe we're split between, we're more Ferris or we're more Cameron. I think that what we're supposed to feel is more Cameron in this and less Ferris, because Ferris is very trusting. It's like, oh, good man, please take care of this car for us. And he gives him a $5.
Yeah, Cameron's thing. Cameron the entire time's going, we can't leave the car here.
Yeah.
We cannot. We're okay, this is fun. Let's take the car back.
I like the fact that one of the things that stuck in my head was like, well, and Ferris says, what will happen? It's like somebody could scratch it or maybe breathe on it
the
wrong.
wrong way.
It's like,
well, the thing too is Cameron had a perfect point. The whole thing was to use the car to convince him that it was Sloane's dad picking her up. They could have taken the car back and then taken Cameron's car into the city. But no, it's what Ferris wanted to do.
If you want to know why the glory shots, why Chicago is being like sort of glorified, one of the most, I think it's this scene. Yeah. They literally sitting at the box looking at the Chicago Commodities Stock Exchange.
Market. Yes, and Cameron the entire time is mocking them.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is why I said where you see the John Hughes love of Chicago, where they had that little conversation of life and whatever they want to do.
And we get the first instinct too, the second inkling of really how Cameron really is the hero of the story. Ferris is kind of more of a catalyst to the self-actualization of Cameron.
Yeah.
So it brings up Cameron's the description of Cameron's family and their relationship.
This too, in the Sears Tower, where
Sears Tower,
put their
which by the way is no longer named the Sears Tower, which is always still breaks my heart. But
what really?
Yeah, that.
What is the name of the building now?
Oh, I can't remember off my name.
Then don't bother. It's the Sears Tower.
It's no longer the Sears Tower. It was a Sears Tower, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned that. Do you want to touch upon that now, or maybe a little bit later about Cameron, about why Cameron is the main guy?
I'm gonna wait until he actually has the actualization moment near the
breakdown.
End of the film,
Okay.
And then
so
we can go back to it because
that
would take way too long, and then we have to discuss the rest of the film.
Yeah. Don't worry. I know what you're feeling. I had the same feeling when I finished it the first time this week. By the way, I didn't ask you. You watched it 3 times this week? I watched it twice. It was more than 5. You're fucking crazy. I watched it twice. It was enough. If you ask me now if I still like the movie, yes and no. On the general, no. On the specific, yes, because I find things in it that were. I like the subtext of the entire movie,
which, in a way, we're going to get to at the Art Institute.
Yes,
your idea of that actually makes sense at what Cameron's viewing of a certain painting.
Yes.
So anyway, they were talking about how Cameron's description of his parents' relationship, about how they're in a loveless marriage. His father basically only really loves the car, and how like they even mentioned before, it's how no one cared whether or not Cameron went to school or not because both of his parents are gone.
Yes, nobody cared.
Nobody gives a shit.
Rooney didn't care. The fucking the secretary, nobody cared.
Yeah.
So
we have moving on from there. We have the
restaurant scene
at the French restaurant, which is funny because the restaurant's name is Shaky.
Shaky, which
is actually just means the house, but it's also a play on a Midwestern like chain restaurant called Shakey's. Shakey's.
Oh, I've heard of Shaky. Even I've heard of Shakey's.
Get it?
That's like a Chicago Institute. I wish we had.
No, it's a Midwest. It started in the Midwest and then it went all the way down to the South. Like Shakey's Pizza, yeah. So
I wish we could have had.
I think they even brought it up in an episode
today.
I think they even brought it up in an episode of South Park where Cartman got enough stem shells to create his own Shakey's Pizza.
Oh,
I think that's the restaurant.
It could be. It sounds familiar.
But no, it's just funny because it was called Shakey's. So it's like I was like, oh, You cheeky bastard, John Hughes. That's funny. But we
To
have to
me,
say like, I'm Al, the sausage king of Chicago.
yeah.
You're the
Whatever.
sausage king of Chicago.
It seems to me that the maitre d', this guy who was I don't know if he was trying to pull off the I'm gonna say it, the gay lisp.
Oh,
But
like a lilting affectation?
He did
No, he
not
didn't.
do that. He
He
did
didn't,
not
no.
do that.
I
And
do love the fact that when he walked by, like, I weep for.
yeah, I
for
weep
the-
for, and I was like, I weep. I was like, that was something I would say today,
Yeah.
but not in that sort of connotation. But okay. I absolutely adore that fucking character. Cause he knew that Ferris was
Full of
fucking
shit.
full
Just
of
like Jeannie, just like his sister. It's like, no, you're
Yes.
absolutely full of shit. Yeah.
Yet at the moment the telephone prank kind of fell into place, it was like,
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't, but I think I don't want to involve the police now. He wasn't afraid of Ferris. He was afraid of actually cops turning up to the door.
We got this very, very expensive restaurant.
And
Well,
very
the major
expensive
thing is he was
restaurant.
trying to just give them the last bit of impetus, like, you should leave now.
All right. I'm gonna move
They did
to
the phone gag, and then they also, when they eat, there's a whole bit where it comes back later when they're in the taxi cab.
yeah.
It's like, we ate pancreas. Again, as I said before, a lot of that entire scene had been cut out of the original 2 hour and 45-minute cut, which I would love to see once, and then once only. Because wow,
however, do not want to see that
Yes.
long of a cut. Not this.
But
The most
interspersed with that, they have Ferris's conversation again about
he's talking about
Cameron's-
Cameron. He's not talking
Yeah.
about himself.
Yeah.
Which is technically another character development of Cameron rather than Ferris himself.
Mhm.
We'll touch upon that once we get to and I like the fact that when he steps out, his dad kind of steps out of the bathroom as well. But the point was Ferris is addressing the camera, the audience, rather than just talking to himself, right?
Yeah.
So it's another fourth wall break, basically.
Mhm.
But nobody but us heard the conversation.
Yeah.
So when the dad
we
comes
also
out,
we also have the inner monologue of Jeannie that's interspersed that pays off at the end, where
Yes.
she's kind of conflicted, where it's like, I know my brother's an asshole, to summarize it very quickly, but I don't think maybe he's not that bad. It's like, no, he gets away with everything. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. I love the fact that in the 80s we've got this scene where he goes into the bar.
Oh, the arcade.
It's
I
like
got
a
you.
bar
Your
arcade.
ass is mine. Which
Yeah,
again, coming from Jeffrey Jones, is really upsetting.
Okay. And by the way, when he said it, I knew. I watched this movie. Yeah, I knew it was a woman, but from behind in the 80s,
You couldn't really tell because androgyny
really
was
tell.
in fashion. So
Yeah.
it's like
it was the thing. By the way, very beautiful woman.
Yes. Well, but side note,
Too much 80s makeup, but
Makeup.
a very beautiful woman.
well, but at the time, I think that was kind of just makeup.
It was. It's not 80s makeup. It's makeup.
Makeup.
Yeah.
No, but how? Okay, the real question is, without knowing what Ferris was wearing on that day, how would he know that Ferris was wearing that same jacket and jeans combination?
It's a
That's
plot hole.
a question that I have
It's a
there.
plot hole.
Yes.
All movies have them.
There's one big one at the end where I'm like, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. He would have known. So anyway, so he spits the the girl spits the Pepsi in his face, and he goes to wipe his face, and the guy who's making the pizza has one of the best lines. I love that line so fucking much because he's watching the Cubs game that Ferris and Cameron Sloan are at, and he caught a foul ball in his hand too, just because it's Ferris Bueller. Of course he did, which is why again it leads credence to the theory that it's all in Cameron's head because Ferris is nearly infallible.
Now I have a tidbit. Yes, I've professed I don't know much about sports, let alone baseball.
Yeah.
Do you know which stand they were sitting in? It's a very famous stand. I actually watched the very famous game where a very famous thing happened.
Oh, was that when the guy nabbed the ball?
There was a very famous. This is a long shot for you.
It's not
people.
off the ivy.
There was a very famous game, a very famous Cubs game, where they were very close to taking out. I think it was the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, because they would have gone to the World Series for the first time.
Against
then
the
eventually they
Yankees.
did end up they end up winning the World Series in, was it 20?
They won it a little bit later. Yeah, 2016 they won it, but before that, it was the Red Sox. The first year they broke the curse of the Bambino, no less.
Yeah.
There was a guy who interfered with, yes, I know the name of the player. It's Moises Alou. He interfered with him catching the ball, thus, I think, ending the 7th or 8th inning and costing the Cubs the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
And then Red Sox went up to do the very famous comeback and their win and breaking the curse of the Bambino. But that guy was chased out of Chicago.
Yeah, he was. Oh, he would have gotten murdered.
I
remember being in college and watching that game and being like, "That's a dead man." That is, we're watching somebody just committing the crime that's going to actually have a lynch mob come after him.
I literally watched the documentary about the guy. He wasn't the one that actually interfered. It was the guy behind him.
Ooh, that's dirty.
The ESPN camera
only caught him.
And
with the ball. Yeah.
They had a shot of him. He didn't even get the ball. The ball fell.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ferris Bueller and the gang are literally sitting in that stand.
But I was gonna say well, that's cool. But the side shot there again, where it does do that zoom in pan, where he's wiping his face, and it goes to the shot of the TV camera footage of Ferris catching the foul ball, but Rooney has his face covered up, so he couldn't see at the time. So he says, "What's the score? 0-0." Then Rooney says, "Who's winning?" And the guy, just chef's kiss to you, pizza man. The Bears.
The Bears. Even I got that. It's like,
I was like, that's brilliant. Oh, that's brilliant subversive comedy. Oh, I love it.
So Mr. Rooney goes to the Bueller's house.
Yes.
Rings the doorbell, gets it that Ferris is playing a game on him, and he tries to go away. First, he gets his shoes stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
And then he.
Well, it was after he had played the doorbell.
Yeah. Like I said, he does the doorbell. He gets it that Ferris is pulling a prank on him, and it's not really him. He goes around to the window where he steps in the mud, and then he goes to the doggy door where he faces.
Which, by the way, immediately I'm like, it's about Chicago, and there's a fucking Rottweiler. Of course, I love this movie.
The meanest Rottweiler ever. And
what's funny too is the only reason they could keep the Rottie chasing after him was because Jeffrey Jones had pieces of raw steak in his pockets.
I would imagine that's exactly how they do it. He
And they kept
just
saying too that actually that Rottweiler was actually just an absolute sweetheart. Otherwise, it was a
usually
friendly dog. Yeah.
usually when you see a mean dog, like even like Doberman Pinscher or like a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler, it's literally when they do the not the growl, but when they show their teeth, it's training, right? It's their training to do it. It's they do this and they show their teeth. They don't actually growl. The growl has been added later.
Oh, it depends. It depends because
almost always the
them,
growl is later.
Yeah,
almost always. Not everything. Yeah, not everything, but mostly they added in post production. Right, museum scene. Because it comes directly after the doggy scene.
Yes, which is I think one of the best scenes of this entire film.
It's fantastic. Let me know which one do you want? Which part of it do you want? Because I'll run it through.
I would definitely. I think by far the best scene has to be Cameron with a Sunday in the afternoon, the island of Grand Jeté by Sara. Cameron standing in front of the giant. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Where it literally pans inwards and inwards, and you can see the
down to pointillism.
the actual canvas.
Yeah. No, because this was pointillism, so it was all done with points.
Yes.
So
yes,
again this feeds off of what we're going to get to in Cameron's self-actualization, where he is trying and attempting to find meaning behind this, and he's searching so deep down. That's why the camera zooms in so much.
Yep.
Just deeper and deeper introspective thoughts. So
yeah, it's like he's trying to find something. He's trying to find the hidden meaning, but he goes too deep. He can't see the bigger picture.
The forest for the trees.
Yeah. Yes, he can't see the bigger picture. Where it's like I'm going to flash it in again. Just step backwards a little bit, and you can see the bigger picture. Okay, cool. Next,
but also like if you again, anyone watching the VOD later, if anything, I mean, I think this is a great film. The Meth and I disagree on some certain points about it, but just watch that scene alone, just so you could see some of the art in there. Because again, this is like one of the only times ever that the Art Institute of Chicago has ever been filmed.
There's literally shots of just the pieces of
paintings
art there,
yeah,
where it gives you like a 3-second look, then moves away, gives you another 3-second look, then moves to the actors. Kind of, they're
standing outside. They're all just looking
where they're sitting in a diagonal line where you can see all three of them in a depth thing, where you can see the pictures from the back, but they're also looking straight into the camera into some sort of a piece of art that we don't see, and kind of doing like introspectively looking at it.
I think at one point in time they were looking at 3 pieces by Picasso.
Yep.
2, I believe.
So.
Yeah,
I think so.
Do yourself a favor and take a look, because it's just beautiful.
Yeah, like we said, we want you to go and watch the movie. If you're watching this on a VOD, because we literally have no one in the chat, which I don't care. If you happen to watch this VOD, if you haven't to get to this point, go watch the movie and then rewatch what we said. Like I said, I found a different appreciation for this movie rewatching it at my old age. But no, rewatching it now, where I didn't like it. I still don't like parts of it on the surface level. I don't like the more deeper meaning, the more subtext. I absolutely adore. Found a new way of looking at this. One of the things is literally this conversation where Cameron kind of confesses to not only his estrangement from his dad, but also his kind of weird relationship with Ferris. Because he does say you make me do things I don't want to do. And you're like, he actually kind of says you're the bad guy in my story.
Yeah.
And Ferris is like, moi? Like that. And I was like,
Well, it was more of the just, again, it was going back to the fact that, like, I have not had a good day. And it was like, well, haven't you, because Ferris's whole thing was like, haven't you had a good time? Haven't you had a good time? Which we're going to get into why when we get to Garth. Yeah.
okay.
Who is Charlie Sheen's character? Yeah, his name's Garth.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So they get to, we have another scene with Rooney trying to get into the house, but it's not really big. The whole Rooney thing, sort of to me, is a chaser. He's trying to chase Ferris, but he's being foiled all the time, which makes him more of a comedic relief.
Yeah.
Rather
I would
than
say more than anything,
the bad guy in this movie.
The only thing that really that sets up is trying to explain where Rooney was the entire time if he was so adamant about chasing Ferris.
And if you think about it, the Rooney storyline or the Rooney kind of chain of events doesn't actually affect Ferris or the growth of Ferris's character. It actually affects Jeannie's character and her growth as a character.
And well, and again,
and
the only
like
reason,
in a backwards way.
And the only reason why it's important is the very big payoff at the very end.
Yes, correct.
That's it. That's
correct.
The only reason why it's important. But so the thing about the parade.
Yes,
this is actually shot. It was shot during 2 different Saturdays. So the first one was during the actual von Steuben parade, which is a very, very big parade in Chicago.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I thought it seems odd to me that there's a lot of German themes at a St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yeah, it's not. It's the von Steuben parade.
Okay.
So there's that, and then the next one was actually when they do all the choreography for oh my god, I just messed up pronouncing that word. Choreography for Twist and Shout. That was the second one, and Broderick actually had a whole bunch of issues doing that because he actually injured himself because they did the fence jumping scene before that.
Oh,
and he had already injured himself, so he was trying to do the choreography for the twist shot with I think he twisted his ankle like completely, so it hurt for him to stand and move.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks. The thing about this is, again, another character development of
for Cameron,
where he has the conversation with Sloane, right? He confesses a few things and he's saying a few things, and she's really understanding. Like I said, she's the tissue that kind of connects Ferris and Cameron, and she's trying to bridge the gap between those two because she agrees with Ferris about Cameron needs to be more open to things where he's being closed off a little bit. Oh, one thing to mention, in the restaurant scene where Ferris talks to the bathroom mirror, he says something about Cameron where it's very interesting, where Cameron enjoys being sick as a sort of a standard. If he's not ill, he doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
He feels good when he's ill. Kind of gives you a little bit more of what Cameron is like outside of being dragged into this magical, fantastical adventure in Chicago.
Which we'll get to, I think, why in a bit. But
so just flash up on the screen. It's a whole. I don't know how they paid for this much extras. I'm guessing most of these extras have not been paid.
Yeah, most of them were not. And actually, a lot of the extras were just random people that would just show up. And
they just
John Hughes saw people that were they were playing Twist and Shout loud enough, and there was like a seemingly parade going on in the middle of the street. So people on the sidelines were just dancing. So John Hughes just shot him.
Got him for free. I'm good at producer. By the way, question. How come Jeannie didn't recognize her actual
principal? I know that was
another plot hole. Yes, another plot hole.
Perfect shot. Look, it's the Undertaker.
yes. She hits him.
Odd side note.
Wait. Before I continue, did she take Tybo, or was it not very popular at the time?
Tybo didn't exist yet.
Yeah. Go on. What were you going to say?
But no, the kick in the face was only supposed to happen once. In editing, they added 2 more kicks.
Okay.
Because they thought it would be more believable if he got kicked 3 times then fell over instead of once.
Okay.
What?
And then she calls the cops, and the cops pick her up for a false report because her brother, right?
Yeah.
They kind of think, oh, it's another prank. It's the Bueller's place. So what if it's Jeannie and not Ferris?
Well, the first question is the 911 operator said, like, so how's your brother doing? Is he doing okay? Because that whole thing about Save Ferris has escalated to that point in the narrative. Yeah.
Yes. And when Jeannie goes back home, she actually sees the water tower that says Save Ferris.
Save Ferris, yeah.
Well, where I was gonna go for, they're coming back.
And there was the one shot with Rooney where he sees that he's gotten multiple tickets and his car gets towed and he's running after his car. Yeah. And he also, what's important in that scene at the house was that Rooney accidentally dropped his wallet.
Yes,
that's
I don't think we actually see him drop.
We see it. We see his wallet fall
on the floor.
No, we see the wallet fall on the floor. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a clear shot of it on the ground. But so they see the odometer and realize that, oh no, these guys took it for a joyride, and Cameron just breaks.
Yeah. This is not the shot where he actually breaks. It's there's a scene where literally the camera goes, he yells, but the camera goes out of his mouth and into his face, which is, and Ferris is like, oh yeah, you're about to see him break.
Yeah.
And it happens. And again, there's a shot there just before Ferris kind of gets up and addresses the camera again, telling us more about what's going to happen.
Which, by the way, I think that's Matthew Broderick's best scene in the entire film.
Okay.
We're about to get to, but
go ahead.
No, but his entire conversation about the true state of affairs when it comes to high school friendships, where it's like, yes, I know, like, this is going to be like one of the last days that we have together, because yes, we'll have the summer, but we're going to work, so we'll see each other on the nights and the weekends, but then we're going to go to college.
Yeah, this is where he says about Sloane as well, going, she's not even going to college.
No, it's like, I meant what I said before. I want to marry her, but the whole thing is, it's like, what am I going to do next year? Because she's going to stay behind. So he's having a crisis of conscience too. And then the entire bit that he has about Cameron, where he says like, and I feel bad for Cameron because the first woman that he sleeps with, the first woman that lays him, he's going to marry, and he's not going to know any better because that's the end all be all of what he perceives as a relationship. And that woman's going to treat him like shit because you can't respect someone who kisses your ass all the time. It was like, wow. That got dark, but
that shot was straight to the heart.
Yeah.
Whoever got married and whoever got divorced, whoever got still married, knows this about people who got married to the wrong person, where they knew it's going to be the wrong person, but because they're friends, They
You
could
can't say a
not
word.
say fucking shit.
Nope.
That is what hit me right in the fucking feels. Now, I don't have anyone in my vicinity, friends, who married the wrong person, but when my parents were together, when I was up to the age of 10, I knew of that couple, and later on they got divorced after my parents. But
Yeah.
I knew that couple was fucking doomed.
Mm-hmm.
Because of this shit.
Yeah.
Because it was actually the other way around, kind of, where the woman married the guy he didn't beat her, but he didn't treat her as a normal human being. Sort of, he treated her like a thing.
Yeah.
But he was her first. So literally the other way around, as he said for Cameron.
Yeah.
For me, was not only the conversation, the setting of the lake, where for me, I've never seen a lake that went on for so long, for so much, you can't even see the end of it.
Yep. That's like Michigan, buddy.
That's like Michigan. Again, setting up a beautiful, this is a beautiful shot for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the composition of the shot is, I don't know what it is. I went full on into cinematography in this movie because, like I said, the surface level was not so great for me. But yeah,
Okay.
this one of the best kind of heartfelt truth that Ferris did without being too jokey about it. So Cameron becomes cat. Oh, you know what? We'll do the second segment of the night. Let's jump into that before we do the pool shot and then the ending. Right. Second segment of the night. A fun little game that we do. It's called Screen Fighter.
Round 1. Fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good, both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other. We got two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in and blam? Man on the Moon or About Schmidt? This is the Chinese poster.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It didn't look Japanese to me. Still good. Which one?
I'm gonna have to go with Man on the Moon because I know a lot of people don't like Andy Kaufman or Jim Carrey's portrayal of Andy Kaufman, but I thought it was fantastic. I really like that movie.
I'm going to surprise you and say Man on the Moon, not because I like Andy Kaufman. I didn't really grow up with Andy Kaufman. The portrayal of Jim Carrey as Andy Kaufman had me believing the whole bit that Andy Kaufman was trying to pull.
Mm-hmm.
About Schmidt is fine. I actually like it. It's very slow and methodical and very un-Jack Nicholson. It's the only movie I saw Jack Nicholson in it that he plays not Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. He doesn't play or have the characteristics of a character that would be played by Jack Nicholson.
Yes. Yeah. There's a few moments in there where you can see, oh, there's Jack. Otherwise, it's a completely different thing. That's why I kind of like it.
But I will say that About Schmidt it's a good movie. I would just still would rather watch Man on the Moon.
Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life. That's Tomb Raider 2. And 101 Dalmatians, the original animated movie. Go with your gut and don't think about how I feel.
These are both really bad, and I would definitely watch 101 Dalmatians. Oh, sorry. The Lara Croft, the original series, was just so awful.
Can I surprise you?
Are you actually going to agree on a Disney movie?
I'm gonna pick the Disney movie because Lara Croft is abysmally bad. It's abysmally bad. Besides, it's the earlier Disney stuff.
That's fair. Yeah. Not Remake City.
I don't like 101 Dalmatians as a movie, in general speaking. Right. Blue Collar. Oh my God. That's not even a movie. I'm going to
Yeah,
put it,
you could put
it's
that
not
as
a
haven't
movie.
you can put it as
It-
haven't seen it. That's just a stand-up special.
That's a stand-up special.
Yeah.
It's really good one. Matchstick
Oh.
Man or Good Morning America. I
You
haven't
know
watched
how much
Matchstick
I love a
Man in
heist fucking
long
movie,
time.
so you know I'm going Matchstick Man 100%. And also, it's got before he went too crazy, Nicolas Cage, Sam Rockwell.
Yeah,
It's a really good movie.
I know. It's
And
underappreciated.
we have DK in the chat, so we can't have a tiebreaker here on this one because I know you're going the opposite way on this one right off the bat. Because again, Good Morning Vietnam is also a great film, but also, well, I saw it once and I hadn't.
It's a little depressing. Because it starts off with insane Robin Williams and it ends up with
somber
Robin Williams, which not a lot of people like. I personally do.
I do, but also
movie.
just given the dichotomy of his character, so it's like
DK, what the fuck, man? Haven't watched either of these.
Down, bud.
Not gonna lie, you need to watch both.
Both, yeah, they're both good movies.
They're both good movies. I'm gonna be the tiebreaker. It's gonna be Robin Williams. I don't care what you think.
Cheating motherfucker, you. Oh.
The Mummy Returns or Vanilla Sky. Can I start?
Go ahead.
The Mummy Returns is not good. Vanilla Sky is horrifically bad.
It's bad.
So fucking bad. It's not even funny. It's not even exquisitely bad. It's just fucking bad. Cameron Diaz is so bad in it. Penelope Cruz she's so bad in it. She had to be naked to even get a star out of me out of 5.
I was gonna say Vanilla Sky is only memorable for one line that Cameron Diaz says that we can't say because YouTube will have an issue with you if I say it out loud. It's a sexual thing.
Yeah.
I do have to say The Mummy Returns was actually kind of fun, at least.
It was fun.
It's stupid. It's absolutely dumb.
I
do have to give Brendan Fraser credit for it because he put himself through hell. He did all of his own stunts in those movies.
I know.
And nearly killed himself doing it. So I'm gonna have to go with
and it has. Whenever people say no, it has The Rock in it. It's a CGI The Rock. It's not actually The Rock.
And it's also terrible CGI.
The Mummy Returns. One last pairing. Prometheus or The Wedding Crashers?
Come on. I know you hate Wedding Crashers, but come on. I would watch Wedding Crashers any day of the week, month, year.
I would watch Wedding Crashers every day for a full week and not even contemplate watching Prometheus. We've covered Alien and we said our piece. We're gonna cover Aliens somewhere in the future. Prometheus is such a betrayal of even Aliens 3. Even Aliens 4 is better than this.
Even Alien Resurrection. Yeah, I think Alien Resurrection, I do believe, is better. And that movie's god-awful.
It's fucking god-awful. It's Wedding Crashers. Yeah, I've pressed Wedding Crashers. Don't
I know.
Remember. Fucking, oh my God. Prometheus is so fucking bad. It's
just
unfor-
the concept of the engineers could have been done so well, but the story was told so poorly, and also everyone on that crew is a fucking moron.
Oh,
We don't know if we're in a safe environment. Oh, it seems like it's breathable air. Okay, there's no pathogens at all.
the original crew didn't do that.
I know.
And that's supposedly 70 years difference or something like that.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
yeah.
So the same protocols actually govern the same company fucking crew. Oh, it irks me to no end. They made a sequel to it.
Yes.
Which is it Alien Covenant? I think.
Yes, which is also, oh god,
I haven't
so
watched
bad,
it. I haven't.
dude.
I've not watched.
I will just say the funny thing about it, because I'm gonna go ahead and spoil one of the first parts about it, because I don't care. The movie's awful and no one should watch it. James Franco was listed as like being one of the big actors in it. He dies within like 3 minutes.
What's that?
It's hilarious.
Remember there was a movie with Steven Seagal and Kurt Russell where I don't remember the name. It's a Steven Seagal movie, dude.
Yeah,
it was after Under Siege. It was one after or two after Under Siege, and they literally publicized it in the trailers and everything that it's the team up between Steven Seagal and Kurt Russell, blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
and Kurt Russell dies 10 minutes into the movie from like some sort of they go from one plane to another and the sleeve kind of collapses and he just dies. Just dies, not heroically. It's just an accident.
Just dead.
And he dies. It's like that movie was god awful. It's again Steven Seagal movie. Okay.
So back to Ferris. So we get Cameron's jump into the pool where he just kind of
yeah, he kind of dives through and again,
I do like it was like, oh Ferris, you're my hero.
Yeah. He wasn't in real peril.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't in real peril, but it seems like Ferris and Sloane kind of thought he's about to die, but they don't give him CPR. It's like, wake up.
They just go, wake up.
Yeah, wake up. And then we had one of the best scenes, because I completely forgot Charlie Sheen's in this movie, and he looks
okay. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a tangent here.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that. Go. Okay.
So first of all, Charlie Sheen's character, his name is Garth. Yes, as in almost like Garth Elgar from Wayne's World.
Yes, go ahead. Does he also live in Aurora, Illinois?
No, but goddamn close enough. He was actually Charlie Sheen stayed awake for 48 hours prior to shooting in order to get this look.
So, like 2002 Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I was like, "Ooh, this is young Charlie Sheen, but old Charlie Sheen, all wrapped up in the same package."
And what's funny is this is actually a cast reunion, because Jennifer Grey convinced John Hughes to give Charlie Sheen the role because Jennifer Grey was in Charlie Sheen in Red Dawn, which was in 1984.
Yes. Yep.
But anyway, there was originally an entire backstory about Garth that was cut. Because you remember how Garth mentions the fact that he knows Ferris?
Yes.
To Jeannie?
Yes.
Well, apparently in the backstory, Garth and Ferris were friends in the 8th grade. Now, Garth's family home was worse than even Cameron's was. So it's kind of like I would say the exacerbated version of Bender from The Breakfast Club.
Okay.
So it's like a very, very bad family home, right? So it was so bad that Garth eventually ended up dropping out of high school. So the whole thing about Cameron, about how Ferris is trying so hard to give Cameron a really good day and try to turn him out, because he couldn't help Garth.
Yes, I get it. Okay.
So, and there's also the extra little bits too that were in there about how the original families that were going to be showing up, like how Ferris's mom was showing in the house to a different family.
Yes.
It was the Volmer, it was Vermeer family. That's Garth's family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. I get it.
And
I get
there was going to be a Vermeer like a towing and cleaning company van that was going to be shot into to kind of tie the character into the narrative.
to be fair, they might it could have been maybe in the original cut it was there, but we
Yeah.
wouldn't know.
But no, it's just funny because having this character in there out of nowhere makes a lot more sense overall instead of having this story where in its own way, Ferris is supposed to be almost this infallible character where everything works out for him.
Yes.
Him failing doesn't seem like it's an
doesn't
option
seem to work in the overall arc.
in the
Yeah,
narrative.
I get it.
It
I
doesn't
get it.
work out that way. So
There's not a good setup and payoff. That's something for me.
in a way, there kind of is because he is reconnecting with Ferris in a way by getting with his sister.
But if you're taking the movie as a one piece, you're
Yeah,
just
yeah, you
watching
wouldn't
the
know.
movie.
Yeah.
You're not watching it for the 50th time trying to look for hidden meanings and fucking who wrote authorized personnels on the door, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, okay? So you just have this as a framework where it looked like he was supposed to be there because he asks her about
Drugs?
what she's there for. By the way, she is dressed just like Molly Ringwald.
I know, right?
Yeah, she is dressed exactly like they dress Molly Ringwald in every single John Hughes movie.
Yep.
Just as a side note. But they have that sort of character, and he helps her understand. He breaks her hangups about Ferris, about basically her life. Why do you care about what your brother is doing? Why are you not treading your own path rather than just looking at Ferris's path and being jealous? Or not jealous, more like, why is he getting away with it and not me? And like, why can't I do his thing? Because you're not Ferris, you're Jeannie or Shauna, whatever.
Shauna. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you know that the later after the makeout scene as she's leaving, some guys call me Shauna, and he's like, I'll call you Jeannie. And when he says Shauna, that there was that old doo-wop bit. It was like Shauna. But so then we get to the real crux.
Scene. A second before the real scene is where
that's a really creepy cut there.
I like
it's
it
right
though.
after someone says Elias like, "You saw me changing, didn't you?"
And he's like, "Yeah." and she says, "Well, I'm not embarrassed," and she's clearly embarrassed.
Yeah.
She's clearly embarrassed. By the way, they're both 17 supposedly, so relax.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's just boobies, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, so the whole thing too, the one question I have to ask before we get into the whole self-actualization conversation is when they're doing the running back of the miles, which never would work anyway.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the father, with how particular he is about the car, notice the goddamn gas?
Yeah, I would. You would imagine so, but gas you can actually fill if you had cans there.
Yeah, but they never show them doing that. They never
show any cans. And
there's that. And there's also the fact that the garage men went on that wild ride where they did that giant bump thing. Oh, he would know because the bottom of that car would be scraped to shit.
Yes.
Correct. With the hit pavement.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Like, I'm not really worried about the mileage at that point. I look under the undercarriage of the car going, oh, we're fucked. Oh, we are so fucked.
Yeah. So one thing happens is Cameron says, "I'm going to stand up to my dad,"
Dad.
and he takes revenge as he
Well, because he
kick.
has the entire breakdown where he lays it completely out,
Yeah,
stating the fact of everything that we already know by
yeah,
just from what Ferris has told us, which is why, in so many ways, that's why a lot of people believe that Ferris was never really a character. It was all just a figment in kind of Cameron's head, because the way that he's getting to the self-accusation, because you could see him being the one who drives the car out as a way to finally stick it to his father, to try to kind of go,
Are
and
you
how
going? Are you
unbelievable.
are you saying Ferris Bueller is Tyler Durden?
Yeah,
You're saying to me that Ferris Bueller is Tyler Durden.
it's an old theory.
I don't think so, but I'll tell you this, and I said it before. I think Ferris Bueller is not the best character in this movie.
Oh, definitely not.
Neither
He has no
is
character growth whatsoever.
he
That's
has
the issue about him.
he
Yep.
has zero
Nope.
character growth, which
He
means
learns zero lessons.
yes, he learns zero lessons. He has no character growth. He is just the catalyst to the growth that everyone around him is having. It's basically Cameron and Jeannie. Sloane, again, she's just the tie
Yeah.
tie them together. So the glue that keeps
Which
those
I
two
think
friends
that's the
together.
reason why John Hughes didn't want Molly Ringwald in this role, because again, as John Hughes didn't want her in the role, saying like
It's
it's
too
too small for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. Like I said at the beginning, I do get it.
I could see her. She could definitely pull off the role. That's not an issue. It's just more the
Yes.
fact that the other roles that she had been in have been so important and integral in the films that she was in, especially John Hughes.
Yeah,
films.
even in the Breakfast Club, she's not the main because they're all
There's really no
the
main
group is the
character.
main. Yeah, the group.
I would say that if you really want to get particular about it, Bender would be the main character of the Breakfast Club.
I don't think there's a main thing. The main thing is the student body.
Yeah.
And each character in the Breakfast Club is the clique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like in this where Ferris is getting along with every single clique. There's no Ferris in the Breakfast Club. But in here, he is, because he's the catalyst to everything. He's the catalyst to Jeannie's growth. He's the catalyst to Cameron's growth. We don't see any other characters because there are none. The school is like, again, the student, it's like the framework of everything, but not a specific character in it.
Just a small caveat. There's one thing I did want to call back to, because I thought it was completely ridiculous, because apparently the students got together and bought Ferris a hooker. Do you remember that?
Yes. Correct. And it's
bring back your verve and pluck, because I'm the nurse that loves to. The door slams there.
Yeah, when Jeannie slams the door on them, like,
Side note: when the parents get home, why did they not wonder why the fuck do we have so many bouquets of flowers and balloons in the house? What's going on?
So
anyway, yes, with the self-accusation of Cameron, he expresses his rage over everything and how he ends up denting and kicking the car.
Yeah,
and he's sobbing because he's finally just releasing all of this pent-up anger and rage and resentment he's had for how many years.
Yeah, and he's fine with having his dad look at this particular thing and say, yes, I did this. I'm responsible. Taking responsibility for doing what Ferris kind of pushed him to do. But he's like, you know what? He pushed me to do this, but I actually made this the actual decision.
I'm the one who did this.
Yes.
Like driving the car, I got pushed to do it, but this is what I did. Yes. I wanted to do this. I wanted to show you that I've had enough. He wasn't expecting for that last little lean to push it and have it flying out of the window. Which,
There we
by
go.
the way, at the time, many people who were big car aficionados wrote hate mail to John Hughes
I would
because they
imagine so.
believed that was an actual GT250 that they destroyed, which is like, no, that would have pushed the budget way out of line. No, that's dumb.
For this kind of movie, that would push the
Yeah.
budget over the plummeting through the fucking. I couldn't imagine. I mean, technically, you can throw it and destroy it and just pay for a full-on restoration, but
that would cost so much money. I mean, that's
it would be a waste of fucking
waste
money.
of money. You know, but you could just have somebody do it like what they did was they just had somebody do a model kit and just put it on an MG body and rock and roll. So anyway, we have the whole big setup where they have the makeout scene between Garth and Jeannie, where Ferris's their mother comes and gets Jeannie, so you say it's time to go, and the whole Shauna line.
Yeah, and then we move on to basically the race to go home.
Yeah. And then they do have the last scene with Sloane and Ferris, where they kiss. She says I love you. He says I love you too. And then she says what we all thought before. It's like he's gonna marry me.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we have the infamous, wow, wow, wow. The chasing through the backyard scene,
yes, where he goes into somebody's house. I was like, ooh, this, yeah.
Oh, smells good. Dinner's ready.
Smells good. And he goes outside, and the woman is there. It's like, oh, your dinner's ready, and he keeps on going. It's like, okay.
That's why he grabs the one can of Pepsi from the guy who's just randomly barbecuing, and it's just like, the fuck.
And
of course, he has the stop between the two girls in the bikinis.
Yeah,
like, hey,
typical 80s stuff. And he goes home and he goes to the mat where everybody keeps their spare key, lifts it up, and there's a key-shaped thing missing where it never happens, by the way. Trust me, my grandmother's place had that key. Never happens. No, but it's a movie thing. It's a movie trope. I get it. And then we get this where
I was gonna say the only other thing too, right before that is Jeannie and Ferris do have a little bit of a confrontation where they see each other.
Yeah.
And Ferris's mom is sitting right next to Jeannie, like, Mom, look up.
Yeah.
Look up. There's Ferris. You wanted to nail him. I mean, Jeannie was like, hey, well, Jennifer Grey did want to nail Matthew Broderick, but that's a whole other story. But like, you wanted to get him caught. There's your chance right there. Just like, Mom, look up.
Yeah, and she didn't. She's like,
she didn't. She just like, nope, I'm gonna beat you home. So she runs and she ends up getting another speeding ticket.
Yeah. And when she gets home, she opens the door. Right after that key scene, she opens the door and she confronts Rooney with the wallet. And Rooney's like, the eyes open.
This was the major thing where there was the big change in showing the character growth of Jeannie, because even at that point in time trying to chase home where she's like, I'm still going to catch you, Ferris, but when she realized that her brother's in trouble, like, no, you know what, I'm better than this, I'm going to protect him instead.
Yeah,
because technically at that point in time Rooney could still be like, hey, I caught your son, he's been out all day, like he's going to have another year of school, which in a way wouldn't be that tormenting Rooney even more.
Yes, I would say yes.
Because, like, I know for him it'd be getting the satisfaction of finally catching Bueller, but still, it's like, aren't you kind of torturing yourself by having another year with this kid that you can't stand?
And then,
but then, so we have the character,
the most famous shot
But
of the entire movie.
I wanted to finish that point though.
Yeah, sorry.
It was the whole point where Jeannie's self-accusation was like, no, I'm going to protect my brother, and then she shows him the wallet. Where it's like, because otherwise Rooney could have just been like, hey, by the way, caught your kid.
Yeah.
Been out here. He obviously wasn't sick, so he's faking. So again, the truancy thing.
And she shows him the thing, and he, like I said, with the eyes kind of opening up.
And then we have the
parents walking to the door, of course Ferris is already there.
There was one line. There was one line before that though that the parents had, where it was the mother talking to the father saying, "I don't know what we're gonna do with her. She got yet another speeding ticket." And the father says, "I don't know. Maybe we should shoot her."
Yeah.
Showing the kind of like, even joking about that shows the dichotomy in their relationship.
And you know why? Because she's the younger sister, and she got the car because they couldn't trust Ferris with the car, so they bought him the computer, right?
Yeah.
And the sound system and whatever he wanted. She got the car, yet she keeps fucking up with those speeding tickets.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? I'll just shoot her. And like I said, we get this shot where he's basically talking about Cameron, not him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? Life is too short, and you got to have a few adventures in your life. Yeah. It's
take a stop. Take time to stop and look around. You might miss it. Yeah.
You might miss.
Which is the famous line of the entire film, which was just a reiteration of him saying it at the beginning before he goes into the shower to start the day. So it's kind of a wrap up of the full day.
And then we had the scene that was the short shorts. I don't have it. I made it. It's made. It's just on my PC at work, and
we'll just post it on the channel. That's fine.
I'll post. I never post those anymore, by the way.
Okay.
The short shorts. Yeah, I just keep him because I've got the YouTube shorts.
Oh yeah, you have your shorts anyway.
I don't remember if I made a YouTube shorts for this one. Probably didn't. Doesn't matter. I just make so much. It's just too much. Anyway, so let's sum up the movie. Any takes that we haven't discussed?
Overall, I do believe I agree with Ben Stein in his assertion of this film, where he actually said he thought that this was just a classic piece of, at the time, new Americana. It was in its own way. There were no real villains. Rooney's kind of a villain, but not really, because at the end of the day, he's just trying to do his job. A little bit overzealous about it. And even the garage attendees, yeah, they're kind of assholes, but they really didn't do anything that was that bad.
They didn't ruin the car.
Yeah, they didn't ruin the car.
They just had
overall.
a joyride.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
with that jump, they might have ruined some of the undercarriage, but
yeah, but
overall,
talk about that.
the car was intact.
Yeah, but overall, in his assertion, where in the end, everyone kind of wins in their own way, because Sloane is pretty much assured in the assertion that her and Ferris are gonna move forward in their relationship. Ferris even seems positive in that assertion. Cameron had this massive character growth. Jeannie has reconciled the fact with her relationship with her brother. Ferris again got away with everything in the end.
Yep.
So it's all just a big happy ending.
But it's not. It's typical for John Hughes to have a quick wrap up of the story at the end. It's like it's nothing new. It happens in almost every single.
Oh no, the wrap up was short, of course, which is again, as you said, is very typical of John Hughes. But I would just in Ben Hughes' assertion where there's no real dark side to the movie. There's no real again, real antagonist. There's no real
No,
conflicting
there's
force
no
trying to push people down, or
even Rooney is not your.
as I said,
He's not a bad guy. He's
that
more of a
guy.
comic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, like I said, found a new kind of underlying meaning in the subtext. Enjoyed the subtext. Enjoyed the stuff that I think only adults would understand. Having
Very much so.
passed, having
Mhm.
passed, especially. I can't even say married people, because even divorced people can
I
get
think divorced people
that
even
same.
more so would get that,
I
especially if they were under that same guidelines that Ferris mentioned with Cameron
Yes.
before.
If
Yeah,
it was that kind of a marriage and kind
you
of
can see how.
dissolved, you look back and it was like, oh, the
Oh,
signs were
it's like, oh
already
shit.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in high school, back in college, back in whatever.
Yeah.
And the thing is, um, maybe it was there all along and we didn't notice, and maybe the generation of our parents, whoever took us to watch the movie, whoever brought the movie home and watched it with us, because it happens. It's a John Hughes. It's very not even PG-13. It's a PG movie, even though Sloane is not naked in it. She was wearing both tops and bottom. There's no nakedness in any of John Hughes's movie at all. It's
No,
not
in
his
fact,
thing.
like even the only F word that was about to be said got cut off.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a great like a pratfall joke, but also to keep the rating.
Yeah, I know it's a very, very PG movie. Like most or all of John Hughes's movies, where he's trying to tell a story that can be learned by whoever is it's aimed at, which is high schoolers,
Mhm.
right? But also the parents would probably see the same subtext that I saw. I think I just think it's one of those movies where it's good for adults and teens to watch, and every single one gets something else from this movie, where the adults get the subtext, or I hope they get the subtext, and the kids are like, oh, fucking Ferris Bueller is our man. And kind of put away the Cameron character growth aside, putting the Genie character growth aside, and just go on the surface level and enjoy that surface level. For me, I don't know. Again, back in the day, didn't like the surface level, didn't like Ferris Bueller as a character, didn't quite connect with Cameron as well, because again, coming from a different background, didn't work on me. Don't know. Now, getting that extra appreciation for it, understanding why people loving it, not loving it from my perspective.
That's fair.
That's where I'm coming from. So if you ask me if I love this movie, love, no. Hate, no. Don't like it. Appreciate it for what it is. For you, obviously, you're really biased on this, because it actually
I'm super biased.
It
so
touched you on
biased.
so many levels. I get it. I totally fucking get it. All right, cool. That is the end of Ferris Bueller. It is the end of this podcast, and it's the end of September, because next month
we about to get spoopy.
We are going to go spooky all over the place with our first movie. It's going to be a classic, a modern classic, actually. A modern classic. Next week, we want you to go and watch Child's Play. Many people call it the Chucky movie, because it is the Chucky movie. But it is the original movie where we see Chucky the doll. The one that started it all also has an actress that I completely forgot. She was there. I mean, she had played a very special role, but for me, she's special in different things. I'm going to tell you next week. I'm going to tell you next week why. We are slated to have a very special guest. I'm not going to announce it to not jinx it. You know who it is.
Yep.
A very special guest.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I hope he shows up. That's all I'm saying. Next week, I hit my fucking thing. Go watch Child's Play. Come back to us. We'll geek on it. We'll break it down, and we'll tear it apart and having a good laugh at it. So, to have any say on the show or perceived say, you can always contact me at Mephisto on Twitter, at Mephisto79 on Instagram, and you can write the show at the Reel McCoy podcast at gmail.com. Not all too much ats. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, good night.
Have a good one.